Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 373 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. It's not lost on me that you have 20 million podcasts to choose from, maybe more, and you're here listening to me, so thank you. I was listening this last week to Coffee with Scott Adams on YouTube. He's the Dilbert comics guy, but he said that he read an article that a couple got caught having sex in their Tesla while they had it on autopilot. Now, he didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I mean, isn't that what self-driving cars are for? Why else would you want one? He was joking about it, of course, but now that I think about it, like, what do we want self-driving cars for? I think we have a long ways to go before that's a thing, because we still need human intervention to keep them from crashing. But I've been thinking about self-driving cars, and I'll tell you why I told you that story. My husband was telling me this last week about a podcast that he had listened to with Esther Perel. She's the relationship therapist. She sees a lot. And one of the things that she sees the most is that relationships, a lot of them have been put on autopilot. Now, I call that a Tesla relationship. And people wonder why, when they have that they feel so out of touch with each other. I mean, what she has observed, though, is in these relationships is that they've been together so long, they're so comfortable with their partner, that they just think they'll always be there no matter what. And sometimes they don't even consider their partner at all. So everything else gets put first, and their partner sort of gets lost in the shuffle. And when your relationship is on autopilot, everything else takes priority. The most important person in your life gets the crumbs of what you have to offer, and that's your partner. What's left over after the kids throw their fits, the frustrated meetings are done, the scrolling through social media has been exhausted? They get the worst of us because, well, they'll always be there, right? That's the Tesla relationship, the one that's on autopilot, but's ultimately heading for a crash. If we want our relationship to last, it's best to transition from a Tesla relationship to one that gets our full attention. We deserve that, and so does our partner. I was in Dillard's recently buying pajamas and matching robes for my parents because it was their anniversary. And as I was checking out, it was an older gentleman who he was complimenting my purchase. And I said, these are gifts from my parents' 54th wedding anniversary. He smiled and he said, they've got me beat by 2 years. I told him that was quite an accomplishment. And he said, yeah, it doesn't happen a lot anymore. He asked me if I'd like to know the secret to staying married. And I said, well, of course. So he proceeded to say, forgiveness and understanding. You're going to make mistakes, and so are they. And you can't give up every time someone disappoints you. And you're going to disappoint them too. So be very forgiving. There's a reason you married them. Never forget that. Now, I thought that was beautiful and honest advice. It made me feel so good to hear him say that. Because I do think those are big problems right now. We prioritize incorrectly. We put our partner last. I think we give up too soon on people in every kind of relationship. And then in our intimate relationships, we think because the butterflies are gone, that means love is gone. But love changes shape in long-term relationships. It's going to look different in different phases. Every relationship goes through phases. It's so normal. It's how relationships work. Love changes over time. So you have an infatuation phase, the honeymoon phase. I don't think there's any need to explain that one. And then you have the reality has set in phase, where the infatuation is over and you're seeing all the little things that you maybe chose to ignore because of infatuation. So you've made it through some difficult times, and possibly your relationship is starting to strengthen. It's not just about euphoria anymore. Then you have the crisis phase, and every relationship goes through this. It goes through a drifting apart phase. And you either keep drifting or you come back together. Now, this could be where you're having kids. Maybe there's a betrayal of some sort or a tragedy, and you have to put in quite a bit of work to come back together. And then you have the deep attachment phase, and that's the calm after the storm, so to speak. You've worked through hard things, and you know you can work through anything together, so it's much more comfortable and secure. Now, I don't know about you, but knowing that these phases are normal is a big relief for me. My parents had their religious convention in town where my dad was in charge of all the sort of operations of the whole convention. It's a big job to make sure 3,000 people are safe and that the tech is working and the parking is safe. So much to do when you have that position. There are 3 of those conventions over the weekends in the summer. So the next weekend, my dad had to pass the baton on to the next guy who was going to be in charge for that weekend. So he came back into town to make sure things got off properly before he handed things off. Now, the guy he was passing the baton to, at one point during the day when my dad was helping him, he said, "Oh, I feel like I'm failing at this. Everything feels chaotic. No one seems to know where they should be. I'm really disappointed in myself for it being so messy today." To which my dad looked at him and he said, "Hold on a minute. Everything you're going through is perfectly normal. All of these things felt the same to me last week, and I felt just like you do, and it worked out just fine. You're right on track, and you're doing great. Keep working and moving forward. It's all good. Trust me." And the relief on his face, my dad said, was palatable. And he said, "Thank you so much for telling me that. It's such a relief to hear that this is all normal. I thought I was making a mess of things." But he wasn't. It was new to him and new to each of the guys working under him, but they had a system and it was working. That's how I feel, knowing that all relationships go through these phases. You mean I'm not completely messing everything up and we are going to make it? Yeah. As long as you don't leave the relationship on autopilot and you don't give up too soon, you're going to be just fine. You have more control than you think. Brooke Castillo recently said it only takes one person to make huge improvements in a relationship, and that's not your partner. It's you. So what phase is your relationship in right now? Do you know? Are you on the verge of throwing in the towel? Would it help to hear that any other relationship you get into is going to go through these same phases? Now, love is great, but love will only get you so far. Commitment will take you all the way, and that doesn't happen without keeping your hands on the wheel. My challenge to you today is to be honest with yourself. Be honest about the state of your relationship. Has it been coasting on autopilot for a while and maybe you're slowly drifting apart? Let's leave autopilot stuff to Elon Musk and the self-driving Teslas. Our relationships deserve our full attention. Share this with 3 people in relationships. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.